Alright, so now what I'm doing before we get it tacked up here, and once we get it tacked up, I'm going to do skin side down like this. So that way I can take that borax and rub it on the skin. But all I'm doing is I'm just folding it out a little bit, so that way I can see, like right here, there's still some blood vessels and some meat. And so I'm just gonna, it doesn't have to be perfect. Again, these snake skins dry out really quick, and that borax is just gonna expedite it. But I'm gonna try to get it somewhat cleaned up. You can tell right here that it's not perfect. It's been torn. It was probably used, a shovel was probably used to cut the head off. Not many people use a knife like I do. I use an axe handle to kill rattlesnakes. You probably want something a little bit longer. It's not the smartest thing. Alright, so I just got these tacked up here real quick. This part, I'll try to do my best, but I'm not too worried about it. It's already jacked up. This is the area I want to focus on, is down here. You can kind of see how much bigger that hole is. And I'll show you how to tack that up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go a little ways on one side, and then I'll come on this other side and start not overextending it like that where you can see it too much, but make sure we're showing the width of the snake. I'll kind of go wider, but it's easier to tack it on one side and then start stretching out, because on a snake, you know, up around the head's thinner, then it's going to get gradually wider, and then it's going to get gradually smaller again. So we're just going to want to kind of follow the shape of the snake as much as we can. Alright, so we're getting real close here to the hole that we've got from however it happened, whether it was from shovel or getting ran over or what. But so for this, I'm going to try to stretch out on the side, on the outside edge first, and I'll actually go as close to the edge as I can of the skin. I don't know if you guys can see that, but I'm just right at the scales.
Yep.
And so I'm going to take that and I'm going to try to push it in a little bit. There's going to be a little bubble there that'll dry out a little bit. It won't be as profound as it is right now. Again, it's just a snake skin, so it's not the world's worst situation if it does. But now I'm going to get down here. I'm going to try to get as close to the, this is going to be the top scale here on the point. So I'm going to try to go right through it for a little bit more strength. There we go. So go right there. I'm going to use a nail here for this guy. And then just 2 more tacks, or I could probably just do 1 more tack if I fold them. So we got that now, and I'll just go ahead and finish her out. It's very important that you do not overstretch this area. So even as you can see right here, again, like when I was telling you when I was cutting it, like it's not going to be perfect. Like it's not perfect. So when you start cutting it off, that's when it's going to start getting perfect. That's when you can start cutting the shape out. And I'm going to put some borax, just because these flies are insane right now. A lot easier if it's on the ground, but since we're shooting video, we can't really do that right now. Just enough, hopefully, to keep them away. And by the time we're done tacking this out, this skin up here will be actually be getting dry. So, all right, so we went ahead and got everything tacked out here, as you can see. It's not, again, like it's not going to be perfect. Brian and I were just talking about hoping that we can actually show the process of cutting it off, because all I do is Havilon X-Acto knife, utility knife, a really sharp pocket knife. But I'll just take it and I'll just kind of cut around this outside edge. So that way you don't get all these, you know, peaks in the skin from tacking it out. And it didn't overstretch it that much. Just because it's a big snake already, you don't need to like make it look bigger. Down here it stretched out a little bit, but it'll make sense when I cut it off. But yeah, so I'm just gonna take some borax and get it on there. You want to make sure you're getting it inside the tail part because there's a little bit of meat in there, and then on the edges here or the skin, because the skin will actually end up rolling in. So you just want to make sure we get it in there so that way the skin doesn't have any smell to it when we take it off. It's still not going to smell like flowers, but it's not going to smell like what we smell right now. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave it down here on the ground for tonight. Tomorrow when I go to work, I'll go ahead and pick it up. The reason why I'm going to leave it down on the ground flat is just that way I can keep all this borax on there and hopefully the flies. I've never had flies this bad, so I'm not sure what's going on, but as long as it's all the skin's covered up, I don't have to worry about eggs, I don't have to worry about any of that nasty stuff from the flies. But I'll go ahead and leave her flat. She should dry up pretty good. Up here is already kind of getting dry, so we should be all right. But that's the process when you start doing it. If you're not talking on a camera, it could take 10 minutes, 15 minutes or so. It's not that bad when you just start getting going. But appreciate you joining us.